The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast platform, its affiliates, or even the hosts. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, financial, or professional advice. The host and guests are not liable for any errors of omission in the content, nor for any losses, injuries, or damages arising from the use of the information provided. Listeners are encouraged to seek professional advice relevant to their specific circumstances. Now enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Spotlight with That B. And I am your host, That B. And I am super excited today to have my guest, and that is Tuffy. And Tuffy, one of the things I want to ask is I need you to help me out with the correct way to pronounce your last name. Is it Gestel?
It is Gestel with an accent. If you say it with an accent, if you say it without, it's Questel, like to quest for something and tell people about it.
Well, since I am Latina, is that
And
with an accent? I think you're saying it with an accent.
no, I say Questel or Gestel, but I love it when I hear it with an accent. Everyone doesn't have
Oh, okay. Okay.
the
So,
Latina in you is different.
yes, it is. Thank you. And the Latino in you is very different as well. So, I am very proud to introduce you to all my followers. And in part it is because you are definitely one of my favorite Latino, and I'm going to say this because this is what I say about my Latino friends, but the ones that I really look up to. For me, you're one of my Orgullo Latino friends. And usually I reserve that for people that stand out and just on a daily make me proud to be Latina. You do so many things. And I'm going to start with a small list that I put together. I've known you I met you and I started knowing about you since CQ. I am not like others that was honored to know of you and know you firsthand from back in the day. So when I met you, I really met you as just as I were meeting a random coworker or friend or from inception.
Right.
I had no idea that you have the resume you have, my friend.
Thank God.
It makes me even prouder to say that I consider you a friend. So here is some of the list of the, I don't know, little things you do, sir. One of these things is Tuffy is a casting director, a producer. And when I see producer on things, it is both for music and film or just film?
Primarily film. I've done a little bit of music.
Okay.
I even produced a play some years ago, but that's all just.
Wow. Okay. So all that and then some. Actor, and I've seen some of your acting, and let me tell you, I was impressed. I could never do that, Tuffy. All these things you do, I'm going to be honest, you're one of the people that inspires me.
Amen. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And so, public speaker.
I love that.
And I have been part of some of your lives where you have brought on different people and I have witnessed your talent in regards to public speaking. And again, it's super inspiring.
Thank you.
I didn't see on the list, but I would like to add, is it philanthropist? Am I saying that correctly? Philanthropist?
Yes, I have philanthropical hopes. I just don't have philanthropical money.
But
That's coming.
I've seen you be part of things where I beg to differ.
I love giving back. I love inspiring our youth, and I have been able to do things for groups and for organizations and for students with very little means. So when I do have the means, I definitely give back. I am a giver. I think that that is part of our charge as men and women of God. I think that God wants us to create community and give love. So I'm always doing the best I can. So thank you for begging to differ and for disagreeing with me.
Well, that is how I feel, sir. Now, apart from all that, you are creative, but I saw you post something the other day, and I did see this on your bio, but I was like, nah, because I also know you are quite the comedian.
Yeah.
So, but singing, I didn't know you could sing, Tuffy.
And that's one of my favorite things to do in this entire world. I sing every day, whether I'm singing publicly or just in my bedroom. But yes, when I'm in my
In
classroom,
my bedroom, you're so crazy.
I mean, I'm in my bedroom now. How about that? But when I'm in my classroom, because I teach music
I
at a middle school. I teach pre-K to eighth grade. So when I'm sitting at the keyboard, I'm playing and singing.
I didn't know you were teaching now.
I have been doing that for the last almost year. I've done it in the past, but not on this level. So I've been really enjoying. I have 371 students.
Wow.
Congratulations to my eighth graders who just graduated my ICS Immaculate Conception School in the Bronx. They mean the world to me. They are my kids. They are my children. Even though they have their own parents, I think every teacher takes the charge of parent in their educational hopes and dreams for their kids. So I love that.
Yeah, and I love that you're the person that's there for them. Let me tell you a little story. So one of my nieces, my sister's daughter, um, she is actually really into music, and she's very smart, and she's also very athletic. She's
Hmm.
super intelligent, and she begged my sister to take piano lessons. So it was something where she was really good at it, and it's one of the things my sister and I argued about because she would discourage her from doing anything that was related to music. And I always felt that if there was people like yourself that could have a conversation or sit down and have a convo with my sister, she might think a little bit differently. I think teachers, music teachers, are extremely important. I say this very few times, but growing up in Connecticut, one of my favorite classes was music class. And it's part of the reason why I love music today as much as I do. So to hear that this is something you're doing, first of all, it makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you. I love
Um,
it.
they're lucky to have you. It's not just that you are lucky to have them, but they are
Right.
genuinely lucky to have you.
It's
I need
definitely
to
mutual.
bring you to Miami and get you somehow to
You
talk to
got
my
it.
sister.
I
um,
would love to talk to your sister. Listen, I have parents who were thwarted and destroyed by the music business.
yeah,
And some of them are just young, and some of them have had their feelings hurt. So they're
yeah,
trying to protect their children from getting their feelings hurt.
yeah,
So, one of the things that I give to every one of my kids who can write, not my pre-K and my kindergarten, and not even my first grade, but everyone above that, I give them journals. I bought over 400 journals this last go round, and I give them a journal, and I remind them that sometimes when they feel that their parent or their grandparent or whoever their guardian is doesn't give them a voice, they should
yeah.
write. Sometimes it takes
Oh,
seeing your own ability to write words, whether it be a story, whether it be a song, whether it be a poem, just to write every day. And if you can't even talk to your parent, write to them. So I encourage whoever's watching this, I encourage your sister and your, did you say niece or nephew? I think you
my
said
niece, my
your niece.
niece.
I encourage your niece to write down what she wants to tell her mom about her ability to sing and ability to do music.
Mm,
Sometimes parents can't hear it directly from you, and sometimes kids are intimidated to find the words to talk to their parent, but
yeah,
they can write it. And I always tell the kids, don't write the curses because all kids know curses. They just don't use them per se until they get to a certain age or around their peers. But I say don't write the curses because what that does is it detracts your parent from reading what you're trying to say. But
Mm.
write your feelings down. Put it on paper. You got to give yourself an opportunity somehow.
So, do you in this music class? I'm curious now. Do you teach the kids how to, the like lyrics, how to actually? Yeah. So
We
is
do
it?
some theory. Depends on the age. Every age is different, and every group
Yeah.
sees things differently.
Yeah.
We've had theory. I've given them. Um, we've talked about instruments of the orchestra, instruments of the bands.
Yeah.
Um, I've explained to them who Prince and Stevie Wonder are and why they play so many instruments because they are geniuses, and genius is inside everyone. Everybody can sing. Everybody can't sing well.
Uh, no.
Everybody can play.
No.
Everybody can't play well. We can
I
all be part of the
can.
band.
Excuse me. I cannot sing.
B was
uh,
see. Did you hear what I said? Everybody can sing. Everybody can't sing well.
oh. Oh. Okay. Thank
So
you.
listen,
Because
your singing might be for only when you're in the shower with your man, or when you're in the shower, or in the pool, or wherever.
from
That
your
the
mouth to God's ears, my friend.
and I'll say this: when you meet the right man, the last man you'll ever date,
He's gonna
your
love my
voice,
voice.
your voice might wake up.
Oh, y'all heard him.
Anything's possible. Anything's
Y'all
possible.
heard him. So out of all the different abilities that you have, what would you say is your favorite?
Wow, that's
You got to pick one.
you got to pick one.
One, not a couple, not a group. One. There's got to be one that is like your passion.
Um, Giving love.
Ah,
More than music, more than singing, more than acting, giving love, being honest in who I am as a man of God.
yeah.
Um, I'm a flirt. I'm a
Yes,
flirt
you are.
to the end of the road. I am a flirt, but I'm also extremely respectful and extremely diligent and extremely honest with people. And I don't like to lie. I don't like to cheat. I'm not disloyal in any way, shape, or form, but I will always give love, even to the undesirable. And I think that's something that God put in my heart to just be love. So I will always be that.
You are the living example of what one of your friends would say in CQ. And
Thank
for those that do know Tuffy, they know that he's friends with Donnie Wahlberg. And he would always say, spread love and love will spread. And my friend, you are the living example of that statement.
I
If,
try
if
my
you could if you could look that up in some type of book, it would be Tuffy's face.
that I
Um,
appreciate. Thank you. That
that
means
definitely you do definitely exude that feeling of love to others. I know with myself, for those that aren't aware, I was probably one of the last CQ members to meet you. We didn't meet till years after CQ and its inception,
that is correct.
and after different events. I think I had seen you in LA,
Hmm.
but I didn't actually meet you in LA. And I
That's right.
know everybody was like, "Oh my God, Tuffy, Tuffy, Tuffy," and I was just like, "But yeah, he's Dee's friend or whatever. He's John's friend. He's Rakia's friend. He's like all these people's friend. But okay, I don't get what the big deal is until I met you."
I appreciate that. And it's funny. I saw a picture of you at I guess the hotel everybody was hanging out at in LA. Um, and
Hello.
I'm in it and you're in it, but we're in different places, and it's not even like a good picture. Like you can't post it because it's like someone was doing a video and
Yeah,
they took clips from it, so you can see you talking to a group of girls over there and me over here talking to Susan Copeland or something like that.
yeah,
And we still hadn't met yet, which is crazy, but I'm
yeah.
grateful that we have.
No, me too. Me too. I definitely must say the reason I bring that up is because even once I met you, I still remember the first thing you told me was, "I've heard so much about you." And I was like, I think what I told you was, I hope it was good. uh, but
Definitely.
jokingly, because of course it's going to be something good. But you made me feel so welcomed.
Amen.
It was, I don't know if you know this, but that trip was my second time back in New York in like 30 years.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. I
That's
when I left Connecticut and moved to Miami, I never went back to the tri-state area, period. I think actually I went one time back to Connecticut for like a day and a half for a wedding, and then I came back home and I never returned again. So I was already in my feelings and feeling a little bit not distant, but feeling a little bit weird because for me, I was like, I was in awe that I was back. And for me, I say the tri state area because I used to visit New York and I used to
hmm
visit Jersey a lot when I lived in Connecticut growing up.
hmm
And I was very emotional that trip. So it actually made me feel so welcomed to see Mr. BX himself. Telling me,
Thank
kind
you.
of like giving me the thumbs up, like you good girl. I've heard of you.
No
So,
doubt.
and ever since then, I think you have just again welcomed me and made me feel welcomed and with open arms.
Amen.
So I want you to know it's not something that's lost on people when you're that way with them because till this day I still remember our conversation and I still remember how you made me feel, which is why I keep in touch. I know we're all super busy, but I always make sure that I see what you post, whether it's your stories or whether it's your page. We've discussed you coming to Miami. Um, it's
Definitely.
something where I think, at least in my life, it's definitely a benefit to have you around. Even though I wish I could bring you all to Miami and have you just live in my neighborhood. Because
I'm ready.
I think having that type of love from community, I think it makes such a difference. And in this day and age, my friend, I think we need it so bad.
I agree. I agree. The world
Um,
is in a place of tumultuous ugliness. So anywhere we can get love, and that doesn't mean lust, that doesn't mean, grabbing somebody up. It just means spreading love, like you said earlier, from Donnie and from all of us, or the Brooklyn way. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. It's so important to give love. And we need that. And by the way, I will be in Miami in August.
oh, well, so will I. Because Betty ain't going nowhere these days. I'm serious.
I'm looking
Um,
forward to it. I'll be there for my boy is turning 50. I'm sure you know him, Gil Green, big time director. That's
okay.
one of my buddies. So I'm coming down for that. I will let you know the date, and
Def-
um, and I will make sure we see one another more than
definitely.
one.
Definitely. And I will make sure that if I am busy at work, that I can take some time off. And this gives me another excuse to take some more time off.
You need
Um,
that. You need that.
I do. I do. And I recognize that I do. But I also feel like I'm waiting for like when, friends of mine are going to come into town so then I can make the time for them. And also with the way everything is going, I'm going to be honest, it kind of deters me from even wanting to step outside and be so social.
I get it.
Um, but I am making sure that when people come into town, that I want to make sure that I see I'm taking the time off. So definitely tell me schedule wise what it is.
Yes, ma'am. I
And I think one thing you agreed with me because you are a fellow foodie. So one thing
love
we
good
agreed
food.
was that we would go someplace Hispanic and devour some food.
I
So
need black beans and white rice and some plantains and some kind of meat, and we are good. Yes, we will
oh
go eat
yeah.
some good Latino cuisine while I'm there.
Oh
And I
my
tell
God.
you, Miami's one of the sexiest places in this country, if not the sexiest place in this country.
You
I
think
love.
so?
Oh, I do. I almost moved to Miami many years ago because every time I got off a plane in Miami, you could smell
The
the
food.
smoke, the sultry greatness of Miami. It was just always so sexy. It wasn't about the alcohol, which was great.
It
It
smells
was
like propane.
definitely, it's definitely the women, it's definitely the food, and the people of Miami are just fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I don't get that feedback too often. Um I don't. I don't. But you know what's funny, Tuffy? I get told by everybody that I am like the American friend. And
Hilarious. Get that.
everyone here, when I moved here, everyone was like, "Oh, because you're from New York." And I'm like, "I'm not from New York," because they don't get the whole tri-state area situation. So I would always clarify, and it just became a thing where, "Oh, because you're from New York," I started telling people, "Yeah." So
I get it.
I know to you guys, I'm Miss Miami, but to people here, I'm not. I'm Miss American, and
Listen,
but I hear you.
you are blonde, you are beautiful, you are
Thank
Cubana, you are
Thank
Latina, you are
I
all
am
the things we need you to be. And fabulous is on top of that list.
back at you, my friend. Back at
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Um, so one of the other things that I know that you do, and I didn't write it on my little list, but this I know that you do, and it's something that I did one of the times that I was in New York, and that is you're part of doing something with Hush Stores.
Yes, I am one of their hosts and guides. I do Hush Tours. It's funny, I almost wore that hat on this interview.
Oh, okay. I
I'm a
love
Hush
them.
Tour. Yes, I
I
love
love.
Hush. Deb and John and the whole family, Grandmaster Caz, Ralph McDaniels, myself. We are very blessed. Rizza, we have a bunch of great, great tour guides. We have a lot of fun. We work all year round. Of course, when it's warmer, that's when more people come to New York. And although our current president and administration is making it harder and harder for people to come to New York, we are still here for people who
Yeah,
want to see
yeah.
the hip hop birth, the great places. We go to Brooklyn and we show Biggie and Jay Z and locations like that. We do Harlem. We do all the great locations in Harlem from Lord have mercy, my brain's all over the place. From the Apollo to the great places like the Harlem State Office Building and so many great locations. Oh, the tour is the graffiti wall. And then we go to the Bronx, the 1520 Cedric Avenue, the home, the birth of the first hip hop party, Cool Herc, and we just tell stories. And we always love to include so much of what is hip hop to us personally. So yes, I love Hush Tours.
And I do as well. And
Amen.
I learned a lot. And the time that I went, it was Kaz. He was the one that was the tour guide, and he just it's something that I definitely want to do again.
Yes,
He was
please.
so informative. I was loving the entire vibe, let me tell you. I wish it would have been longer. I wish all the times that I've gone to New York, I have been able to do the tour. I don't think that day, and I know I was like, because Meek was on the bus sitting next to me, so I was
Yeah.
I was asking him like a lot of questions, and I don't know if we went to Brooklyn. I
No,
I
I think
know.
y'all did Harlem in the Bronx. I remember that tour. I wasn't
Yeah.
available for
Okay.
it.
Now, I also love Harlem. One of the things that I also got to do is it wasn't part of Hush Tours, but a friend of yours and mine, which is Tony Rasan,
I
on
love,
that trip, he also gave a few of us CQ sisters a tour of Harlem, a
love
mini
that.
tour. Him just walking us around. Man, I fell in love with Harlem. And now, when I stayed in New York, my hotel, I didn't know this. I thought it was closer to the venue, but it was in South Bronx. So, not knowing, I was walking around South Bronx like, let me tell you, I loved it. I would live there. It reminded me so much of Hartford, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
And I'm
makes sense.
mentioning this not by accident,
Okay.
because growing up and even living in Miami, I've heard negative things about different boroughs in New York. And those are not my experiences. I walked around, not a soul bothered me in South Bronx. I got something to eat. I got lost at one point. Some cops had to help me. Um, I then eventually I went because they're like, go the opposite way. You're going the wrong way.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm trying to find the Harlem Biscuit Company.
And that's not
Oh,
even close to the
foodie.
South Bronx, but that's funny. I love that.
No, but I was walking. Tuffy. So then they're like, go the other way, and I started going up. What is it, the Third Street Bridge or something like that?
Oh, the Third Avenue Bridge, yeah. And then you were, as
Yes,
soon as you cross over the bridge, you're in Harlem.
I crossed over the bridge.
Right.
It got to another point where I eventually had to call another friend of yours, Ren. Ren had to save me, and he was like, "What are you doing walking around?" No, 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 no. Catch an Uber. Don't continue walking. This is my point with that. I didn't feel unsafe at any moment.
I
I
love that.
really enjoyed each and every borough that I was walking around in aimlessly, but um, to know and to know that it's something that there's this negative stigma that they
Yes.
want to place on New Yorkers, I have the complete opposite view. Every person I ran into and every person that I dealt with was, still New York. But
Right.
I
Of course.
have so I have the same personality, most say, as I was mentioning. It isn't just the words I use, but a particular confidence, I would say, that New Yorkers have.
Right.
And this pride for your city that every person I spoke to, that was really the vibe I was getting from everyone. So let me tell you, I've been in the South Bronx. I've been in Harlem. The one place I don't think I've ever gone to is Brooklyn.
Okay.
And back in the day, I've gone to Queens. So when I was on the tour, I kept asking, so when are we going to go to Brooklyn? And does it go to Queens?
I love you for that.
So I
Yeah,
hope.
that's three different tours. Queens is by itself, Brooklyn is by itself, and we do the Harlem and the Bronx together.
Oh, well, then that's why. Okay, that
That's why
makes
you didn't see it. And I will say this: most people
yeah,
who are afraid of any area of New York
yeah,
are only talking about what they've seen on television and what they've
right,
heard on the news, and that's not from experience or education.
yeah,
Um, there was a movie in the '70s or in the '80s called Fort Apache, the Bronx.
uh
A
huh,
lot of people based their fear of the Bronx on that movie.
mm.
Also, the movie The Warriors. The Warriors showed you the gangs aspect of New York, but there are so many other movies that can show you the greatness of New York.
But
And I
that
will
was a
say, I'm
different.
happy that you were able to enjoy yourself because I've lived in the Bronx my entire life. I've lived in
Yeah,
other boroughs. I've lived everywhere but Staten Island, and Queens. I've lived in Harlem. I've lived in Brooklyn. I've lived in the Bronx. I've lived in Jersey. Never lived in Connecticut. Stayed in Connecticut. Never lived there. But I do think that people need to experience New York for themselves, and not just take the tour, but walk the streets. New
yes,
Yorkers might have an attitude. I think everybody has an attitude from everywhere, but we're not going
definitely,
to take advantage of you immediately.
immediately.
I
So
got it. That's the disclaimer. Not immediately.
here's
We
my
might be
thing.
like, we might be like, here's my cash app if you want to drop me a little something.
Hilarious. But let me tell you, Miami's not different. Miami's not different. You could, and this is the thing that I kept on telling people. I could walk down the street in Miami and still get mugged, still get harassed, still need to have my head on a swivel. Just like anywhere that you go, you need to be proactive,
Yes,
and you definitely need to be aware of your surroundings. Now, those movies, I think it was a much different New York back then. That is the
great.
first thing that I noticed walking around. And the reason why I was walking when I'm like, I got lost and blah, 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 is exactly for everything that you are saying. Because
Yeah,
I wanted to
experience.
experience New York like a real New Yorker, which is walking around, not taking an Uber, not taking a taxi. I didn't want to do the tourist thing. I wanted to be able to say, let me tell you, I was listening to BDP
All day.
as I was in the South Bronx walking, and it was
I love that.
something that for me, it was like a whole experience.
One of
So
one of the
the
things I love
fact
to show
that
people.
you have,
Go ahead.
go ahead, what?
I was
No,
going to
no,
say one
you
of the
go.
things I love to show when we do our tour is I
Yeah.
let them. I want them to get out and walk the same streets that KRS One walked. walk the
Yeah.
same streets that Scott LaRock walk the same streets that Kool Herc walked. So when we get out at 1520 Cedric Avenue, we walk up the block to Scott
Yeah.
LaRock's house. And then we walk even further to where KRS-One lived on Undercliff. Like all of those streets. And Grandmaster Caz lived right around that corner. I'm sure he showed
Yeah.
y'all Caitlin Place.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's part of the tour because that's part of the hip hop history. That's part of the. Think about the fact that back in the 80s and 90s, when all of these artists lived there, all
Yeah.
they had, they didn't. They had music on the radio and still didn't have a car. They still took the
Wow.
train. They still walked the streets. So that's the beauty of New York.
Which is why I love that you're part of this.
Amen.
I
Thank you.
think I told you when I heard you were part of it. But initially, you were like promoting it. I think
Hmm.
I mentioned to you that I love that you were doing that because I was like, oh, well, yes, this is definitely. I encourage all my followers, anybody that watches this, if they can do a tour on Hush Tours, definitely do it. I can't say it enough. I loved it. I am a hip hop head. I think even for people that aren't really into hip hop, but they just want to do something different, it
Hmm.
is the perfect thing to do when you are in the city.
Agreed.
I am so glad you're part of it.
Thank you.
Um, we should get like Crazy Legs to do something on that too, because it would blow everybody's minds to see him just talking to people or being himself on the tour, which is how I felt when Kaz was there, just randomly telling us stories and this is what happened when we were here. And for me, it like brought me back, and I did think of a lot of those movies, but I also realized it's a different New York. Back then, things were way different in the Bronx. Things
100%.
were way different in a lot of the city. I
Everywhere. Hmm.
remember, right? So to see how much it has evolved and that it's so positive and still so, there's such a pride
Amen.
everywhere that you go that I think more people do need to witness it and see it, um, so they could see the real New York.
Right. The
So
New York you
I,
saw a year ago is not the New York that's here today. We change. We keep changing. And that's the
yeah,
whole thing about our world. Money changes, people change. Change is important. Change is mandatory. You know,
yeah,
one day you're a centipede or some kind of animal, and the next day you're a butterfly. Everybody must go into that cocoon and change.
yeah.
A caterpillar. I
But
said I'm at a
I
caterpillar.
think it's important to experience different different things in life. So different areas, different states, different cities, different food. So I'm glad though that you are all taking the helm. Is that, am I saying this
Yeah,
correctly?
that's right. Take
Where
them.
where you are, because a lot of, I haven't even gone into the fact that you were also part of Victor Music Box.
Yeah, no question. And that's a
So
huge part of my life for sure.
one of the people that is definitely needed, the face needs to be there, the personality is definitely you.
Thank you.
So so again, it made all the sense in the world. And let me tell you, growing up, I don't know, Video Music Box was just not accessible in Middletown, Connecticut. But I again didn't find out till I was older about that. It was more Yo MTV Raps that I would see and stuff. And when I started seeing different videos, I don't know how I accessed these videos, and I was like, oh my God, I know him. So do you like, I would love, because I met Ralph here in Miami when he
Hmm.
came with one of the shows that Salam Remy did.
That's my
And I
guy.
was able to
Him.
meet him. I think I told you. I was able to meet him. I took a picture. He was the sweetest guy. I think you all should bring that back.
Ralph is now digitizing the 33,000 hours of footage that we have from when we shot Vietnamese Box for the last 40 years. Um, and, Vietnamese Box isn't actually gone. It just needs a better platform currently.
Oh,
But
I hope.
Ralph is all about the right deal, and I respect him for that.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of things over the years. We've had some blessings. We've helped hip hop um, find its voice, and we were there before Yo MTV Raps. We were there before MTV was even on the air. Ralph started a year before MTV was launched. But because we were on local and MTV had an audience
Uh,
immediately with a network, that was a different ballgame for them. But the blueprint for Yo MTV Raps and
with you
Basic
guys.
all of was us. Yeah, Ted
Yes,
Demme, who
yes.
created Yo MTV Raps, said that he took everything from Video Music Box. And even if you watch the show the Get Down creators went on the Hush tour and
Right.
learned about hip hop from the Get Down from Hush tours. And then they did some research and reached out to Ralph for Video Music Box stuff as well.
Wow.
So we've been
So,
blessed.
and for the younger generation that aren't aware of who Ralph is or Video Music Box, please, I encourage you
Do your
to
research.
Google it, do your research. If you are about hip hop, you need to know Tuffy, you need to know Ralph. You need, if you're part of the culture, this is
Yes.
something that you definitely need to know.
Thank you.
So as I was saying, I was able to meet Ralph at this event that Salam Remy had. And I love me some Salam too. I think he's so intelligent and so informed and so creative when it has to do with music. I love that you are all going around
Hmm.
and different states and exposing not just us old heads that maybe back in the day living in Middletown, I didn't have access to a lot of anything hip hop. I had to make things happen.
No doubt.
um and now being older, and this is why I love CQ so much, because I'm able to now experience seeing and vibing out to all these artists and all this music that I grew up listening to. So the
100%.
whole experience for me is just, it like breathes life into me, believe it or not, because I love the culture so much. Whether it's again Crazy Legs, which now I know, and anything with dance and anything with hip hop and the culture, including what I used to watch, it's something where I believe that's why Hush Tours is so important, because it lets me, it brings me back to young B. I'm not gonna lie, and it's something where it no lie. I don't know how else to say that. It's the way it makes me feel is like it breathes life back into me because I
Hmm.
love the
Hmm.
culture so much. And I know I might have just repeated myself, but that really is the way that I feel. So I think what you are all doing is really important, Tuffy. And this is why I'm encouraging you. If you guys can somehow put something together, and I know you say something is in the works,
Yes.
but if you do something, please bring it to Miami, because
Yeah.
right now there is this,
Void.
not just a void, but there is like resurgence
Yes. Definitely a research.
of this eagerness by younger kids to want to experience the culture too. The
Yes.
culture we experience, not this new stuff.
Right. Right. I,
So,
I think that stems from the people who raised them. I think that the young people are seeing the generational understanding that their parents felt from music, because music spoke to the soul of a man. Music spoke to the heart of a woman. Music wasn't always angry and brokenness. It was love.
yes. And it wasn't
Um,
always about something, even though there were songs that were sexual,
of course,
it wasn't this vulgarness.
correct. It wasn't
Yes.
dirty. It wasn't gut wrenching. It wasn't heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, but we were also, don't forget, musicians were learning too.
Yeah.
They were writing about what they feel.
Yeah.
Um, and when you can say it selectively without throwing it in someone's face. Back in the days we had raunch, we had Millie Jackson. We definitely had raunch, but and we had Teddy Pendergrass, who he said what he said, but
So what he said.
he said what he said, and he meant it.
I,
but
yeah,
but that's an important part of artistry. But you had to be creative, and young people today are not as creative, but they know that their parents understand that.
yeah.
So we've allowed a lot in music, but there has to be uh, a revisit to the creativity of and the soul of music, and that's what's coming back right now. And I'm very happy to see that.
And I hope that you continue to be part of that because I think it's important. And that's the thing I see, for example, in Salam, in
Salam
you,
amazing.
in Ralph.
Amen. Amen.
You know, what I see in all of you is that you are all, even Derek, you are all the ones that are igniting this spark back under people, whether they're old or young. And this is actually what is helping us build better communities, in my perspective. Now,
100%.
being in different communities, online communities, and dealing with different people, the one thing we all have in common is our love for the culture.
Say
Um,
that.
the positive, because I want to say we're all positive communities. We're
Mm-hmm.
all about love and we're all about unity and we're not about tearing each other down. And and that's why I do love being part of these communities. And that's why I
Yeah.
do love the CQ fam and everything y'all represent. I think at least to this Cuban migrant that came with just two parents and my sister and didn't really grow up with a family.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all
Mm-hmm.
have literally become family. And the fact that you're also part of the culture that I just adore, it is like I am in heaven. I am living my life right now
Amen.
like I never thought I would ever. And
Amen.
meeting you all of you, from I forgot, is what's his name? Is it Raya? The young gentleman that also does
The tour,
the tour?
Razor.
Reza. I met him too, and I still remember him and how knowledgeable he was and how passionate he was
Razor loves hip hop.
about it again. I was like, man, I'm so glad I met him as well because it showed me you could still be the younger generation and still be about the culture.
He gets it. His
Um,
fingers on the pulse.
Definitely,
He's made his own music, and he loves hip hop.
yeah.
Kaz and Rakim, those are his uncles in hip hop. Those are the
Oh,
so and KRS One. He was on tour with KRS One in Europe.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That
yeah,
I
Razor's done some great things.
yeah. So, but I think he wouldn't, or younger generation, male and they wouldn't really, if it wasn't for y'all, they
Hmm.
wouldn't be where they're at today with their love for the culture. Um, so with that said, I
Yeah,
didn't want run this over too long because then the editing is kind of crazy and then it drives my engineer RG, the homie, it drives him
RG the
crazy.
homie. RG got this. RG's ready. He's
No,
already cutting it up right now.
RG stays ready. RG. So, um, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out once again to just sit down and have this little conversation. Um, I know that this could, like most of my guests that I've had recently, I could go on forever. I could go on for hours. I know in our regular conversations we could just talk all day long.
100%.
But I am limited on time. So I
I get
encourage
it.
everyone to do your research, find out who Tuffy is. Tuffy, when somebody wants to get a hold of you, whether it be to offer you a an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
in anything that has to do with the wide array of things that you do. how can they reach you? Where is it that they can contact you? And please give them your IG and all the platforms you're on. And so, where can they access you?
Tuffy BX NYC, Tuffy BX NYC is my Instagram. It's also my Facebook, and it's also my Gmail. If you can't find me, you ain't been looking for me. I just gave you everything you need. I'm easy. I'm easy.
Unless you
I'm
want him
easy
for
like a
something
Sunday morning.
negative. Wait, unless you want him for something negative, then don't look for him at all.
Right. Don't reach out. God protects me from all of that. So,
Come find me.
right. You find that B, and that B will give you that E, which is the exit door. Don't
I give
do
you the
it.
one and I give you the two. I'll show you some real BX love.
All day. All day. This is what we do. RG don't play. That B don't play. Tuffy don't play.
Tell him because it is accurate 100%. As
Cuban
y'all
Mafia.
hooda 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 hoo.
Let's go.
um, oh my God, Jamaica! I'm gonna smear my makeup.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We need your eyes,
um,
girl.
so I encourage everyone check out Tuffy's page. Definitely, if you want to get something together, um, an opportunity that you might want to offer him, I strongly suggest it. I know you're super professional.
Thank you.
I definitely recommend everyone do Hush Tours. We are going to, in this little video, we're going
Yeah.
to make sure that we put up some pictures, including the picture that I took with the entire group of when I went. And once again, I loved it. So please spread the word to everyone that I really enjoyed it. I wish you all the best, including you, Tuffy.
Thank you.
Um, keep going, keep inspiring so many people because you really, really do. And I think that's it for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in to episode 7 of Spotlight with that B. And I will see you all next week. Peace.